Rashtra Devo Bhava. First and foremost, I would like to thank Dr. Subramanya sir for giving this opportunity to address the future lawyers and the judges of this country. We all know that we are celebrating National Youth Day on the occasion of Swami Vivekananda's birthday. What is very striking about Swami Vivekananda is, irrespective of his language, where geographically he belongs, the entire country owns Swami Vivekananda. He does not just belong to Bengal, he belongs to whole of India. And we remember a saint even after 159 years. Now, there are hundreds and thousands of saints and seers and sadhus in this country. But the entire population of 136 crores to remember one man, what is that extraordinary thing which Swami Vivekananda has when compared to many other saints? Many other saints, sadhus are only confined to their sect, their caste, their religion. But Swami Vivekananda belongs to each and every Indian. Why? Because he was a patriotic saint. He loved his country. He loved Mother India. He considered India as Matrubhumi and he worshipped her. And he gave his entire life for the upliftment of Mahabharata. That's why even after 159 years, we celebrate Swami Vivekananda's birthday. Let me come to a few aspects of Swami Vivekananda. Then I'll go to my topic of today, how the youth can contribute themselves to the development of the nation. And at the same time, they should not be forgetting their culture and heritage. This aspect I would like to touch upon. Swami Vivekananda wanted the youth to have 3 P's in their life. One is purity of mind. They should keep their mind pure so that they can indulge themselves in the nation building. Not just purity of mind. What today's student lack, that is something which he asked for the other P, patience. You have to have a lot of patience to gain or to achieve something. And the third P which he told, which was very important, is perseverance. You have to try again and again, which we lack, which the present generation doesn't want to do. They just give 1 try, 2 try, and they think it's a failure. So it is purity of mind, patience, and perseverance which gives success to today's youth, which they have to keep in mind. And Swami Vivekananda very clearly mentioned about this. The other 3 things which Swami Vivekananda discussed in detail is, as youth today, we should have some social responsibilities. It is not just our studies and not just our selfish needs. We have to work towards the upliftment of the society also. When the society grows, the country grows. And thereby, I can move the country forward along with me. So he said that every youth in this country should have heart to feel. They should have a heart to feel for somebody's pain, or if there is something going on in the society which is not good for the society, or somebody is a person who's downtrodden is suffering, we should have the heart to feel. Just having a heart to feel is not good enough. You should also have head to think. When you see somebody suffering, you should know what is the solution. What can, as an individual, I can do to uplift that person? How I can see that he comes out of that pain. So you should have head to think. Not just heart to feel, head to think. You should have hands to serve. So you should be able to get into the society which was responsible for your growth. Please remember that the society in which you are staying, you are living, is the same society which has helped you to grow forward, move forward. And you should have that hands to serve. And this is something each and every youth has to keep in mind. And that is the one which brings about a total transformation in the youth of today. And one important aspect which we have to remember is what Swami Vivekananda told the mass, the entire youth of this nation, is never to feel inferior about our own being, our own country, our own culture, our own heritage, which we see for a large part of this thing. At least a few youths I see that they do not respect our own culture and they feel this country has gone to dogs. And they talk about many other countries as the most developed nation. At the same time, they degrade our own country. And Swami Vivekananda has very clearly mentioned, unless and until you respect your country, your culture, nobody else is going to come and uplift it or respect it. So it is a duty of each and every youth to respect his own country. And when you compare with any other country, India, very surprisingly, people start comparing it to very small nations. And they say that we are not equal to them or we are inferior to them. There are around 169 countries which you can name. 169 countries. Out of that, the number of countries which has more than 10 crore population may be around 12 to 14 countries. And if I name some of those countries, you'll be surprised to see how underdeveloped those countries are. If you take a few countries which has a more than 10 crore population, it would be Nigeria, Bangladesh, Pakistan, yes, USA also, a few other countries like Mexico, all these countries. When you compare yourself, you have to compare somebody is equal to you in terms of population and in terms of all other strength also. And when you compare two countries or when you degrade your country, please look into, there are more than IQ and MQ which will tell about the greatness of the country, which you have to remember. And Swami Vivekananda also told about this. What is IQ? We know that it is intelligent quotient. What is MQ? We know that it's money quotient. And when one comes to intelligent quotient and money quotient, even Indians are intelligent. If you see the best CEOs of the other the multinational companies, or people running some of the countries as president and prime ministers, we have many Indians. In terms of intelligent quotient, also we are on top. But people talk in terms of money quotient, and they say that India is a poor country. It is not just IQ and MQ which measures a richness of the country. A richness of the country is also measured with two more Qs, which you don't get in any other nation, and that is EQ and CQ. What is that EQ? Emotional quotient. The emotional bonding which we see in this country is something which is unique and cannot be seen in any other part of the world. And that is because of the rich heritage and culture and the essence which is there in the soil and which you cannot, which you can't see in any other part of the world. India is such a civilization where emotionally we bond in such a way that we have given life to a stone and kept it in the Garbhagriha and we worship as God. That is the amount of emotional quotient which we have. For example, if you have a relative in USA or something, you just ask him who is his neighbor, he won't be even knowing how he looks. I have seen this with my own relatives. I just ask who is your neighbor. He says, once in 6 minutes I see his face. He looks like a Chinese. I'm not sure who he is. But if you go home and you are ask your mother, forget about the neighbor. She'll tell you in the next road today in whose house what was prepared for afternoon lunch. And that is the way she bonds with everybody. That is the emotional quotient which we have. We worship everything. We consider or we see divinity in everything. An IAS officer and his wife was going for a walk, I believe, one day. And when they were going for a walk, the IAS officer's wife just saw a very huge banyan tree and she saw 2-3 nests of birds hanging from it. And she wanted that nest to be taken from there and to be put in her portico house so that her house gets an ethnic look. This ethnic look, you have this every year in your college also, no? 365 days, 364 days, I don't know whether you have code of conduct in your dress code, but many of the colleges, they wear torn jeans and one day they celebrate an ethnic day, saying that He should be showing or showcasing our ethnicity and our rich culture. I don't know. So this normally happens. Likewise, the IAS officer also wanted an ethnic look to her house. She wanted that bird nest to be hanging in her portico. She asked her husband to get that nest. He is an IAS officer. He can't climb the tree and get the nest. He just saw nearby and he saw a shepherd. He called that shepherd and he asked him to get that nest. The shepherd just stared at these two people and he said, "No, I can't get it." And this fellow thought that he is expecting something. So he said, "I'll give you 100 rupees. Can you get me that particular nest?" He said, "100 rupees? No, not possible." Then the IAS officer thought maybe his rate also has increased. Then he said, "I'll give you 500 rupees. Can you get that nest which is hanging from the tree?" You know what the shepherd told to both of them? He said, "500 rupees, sir, if you write and give your house also, I won't be able to get that nest for you. For you, it is a showpiece. The mother bird will come in the evening, sir, in search of its babies. For her, it is her house, it is her home. And if she doesn't find her home and her children, how bad she'll feel. Have you thought about it?" That was told by a shepherd to an IAS officer. That is the emotional bonding which we have in this country. And that EQ, you can't get in any other part of the world. The other thing, what I was talking about, is the CQ, or the cultural quotient. The cultural quotient which you see in this country is something, not just the huge temples or the huge Taj Mahal. It is not those buildings. It is the cultural quotient you see in every nook and corner of this country. Have you realized for every 100 kilometers in this country, the language changes? For example, take Karnataka itself. The language which we speak in Kannada and the language Kannada which we speak in Mysore is totally different. I come from a different part of Karnataka, which is a coastal Karnataka. In coastal Karnataka, they totally speak a different type of Kannada. So that is also a cultural quotient which you have. It's not just the language, even the dress changes. We may be wearing the British pant and shirt and the suit, but if you see every 100, 200 kilometers, the clothing also changes. In one type, in one particular area, if they wear a dhoti, in another place they wear a pajama, they wear a topi. This is how the clothing also changes. It is not just the language as well as our dress which changes. Even the food we eat changes from one part of this India to another part. For example, in Karnataka itself, if every 200 kilometers the food changes what we take. And this is the rich cultural heritage which our younger generation has to maintain. If you go to USA, you see the same dress, you see the same language, and for every 100 kilometers, you get the same Subway, the same KFC, the same McDonald's, nothing else you get. That is the diversity what we have in this country, which has to maintain by the present youth. And that can be maintained only if your family system sustains. It is a family which is a cohesive unit in this country, which is keeping this nation as one nation. And that responsibility is on the youth of today. Make sure that your family doesn't break. The family system has to sustain for this culture and heritage to sustain. And that is the takeaway message which we have to take on this particular day, dear friends. And when I say the family, many of you might be thinking, how the hell we can live in a joint family today? 100 years back, we were living in a big family of 30, 20 people. But today, we have come to a nuclear family. It's not possible in a city like Bangalore to have a bigger family in a small house of 100 square, in a small house. So how do I maintain? Make sure that you know who is your kaka, who is your kaki, chikkappa, chikkamma. These terminologies we are forgetting. Everybody, a common man walking on the road is also an uncle, and your father's brother is also an uncle. This should not be the way we treat our relatives and our dear ones. This is something which we have to learn through this family system. And when we learn, we will know how to live in a society. That is possible. Because, for example, about 20, 30 years back, when I had the opportunity to live with my grandfathers, my father's brother and other people, I was able to take a little bit from each of them And then I was able to go out in the society and live for myself. Today, it is not the same thing with the children who are born today. They only learn only from their mother and father. And where if the mother father takes a child to a small function of 20, that becomes a big crowd for the child and the child start crying. That is what is happening today. They don't know what is society, what is social life. They are forgetting about it. And with COVID, it is further forgotten totally. But we have to keep this particular binding forever. And then only we can survive as a nation. That is something which you have to keep in mind, dear friends. And how do you keep this? I had a very good opportunity to listen to one of the lectures of a very senior person who is in the Vivekananda Foundation. And he gave a beautiful this thing, Brigadier Dinesh Mathur. And he has given a suggestion to the government. And the suggestion is he has equated in terms of the development of Singapore, the story of the nation building by the charismatic but controversial founding father, Lee Kuan Yew. And he has written that it is described in his seminal work called From Third World to the First. That is something very interesting which you have to go through. And while setting out to read this extraordinary accomplishment of Singapore, a tiny nation in a 640 square kilometer area, what stood out prominently is its economic and social progress based on innovative thinking. The creative thinking should be there in the minds of the youth today. So innovative thinking, they should take up the latest technology, free enterprise, and founders drive. These are the things which made Singapore just go to that heights what we see today. And our late president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, in his book in 1998, India 2020, a vision for the new millennium, he also had a vision how India can be among the world's top 4 powers by the year 2025. And if we have to be the world's top power, at least the top 4 in the world, we have to come out of this Kumbhakarna's sleep as a nation, and we have to wake up and we have to toil and move forward for a better India. And that is something we have to think about. And when I was able to listen to Brigadier Dinesh Mathur, some interesting facts which he told was, we know that we are entering the 75th year of independence, and we know that we face immense challenges for sustainable development, alongside continuing the development initiatives, poverty alleviation, education and health, food security and nutrition. There are a host of economic, social, and environmental problems and objectives also. And reflecting the integrated approach to crucial issues like unemployment, women empowerment, and capacity building, self-reliance, improvement in agriculture, fisheries, transport, all these is required moving forward in the 21st century and to become a development nation. And all this can be done. He has put forward a beautiful objectives, integrated objectives for where India can move forward and how youth can play an important role in it. And he has classified it into 8 categories. Creation of a world-class infrastructure. When I say world-class infrastructure, I'm talking about the road network, the surface transport, the essential service, including solid waste management, hygiene, sanitation, all these come under that. And the second aspect is the upgrading of the basic infrastructure, especially in the rural, slum, and border areas. India has to do a lot in this particular area. Imagine the people who are living in the border are the one whom we have to give extra importance because of them. Because of them facing the bullets every day, we are living happily in this part of the world. So a very important aspect which has to be touched upon is looking after these people who are in the rural areas as well as people in the border areas. This is the second thing which where we have to upgrade their basic infrastructure. And third thing is attaining the targeted renewable energy figure, which we are saying it should be 270 gigawatts from solar and biopower and wind power and small hydro projects by 2025. And we are moving towards it. That is a very positive thing which you are seeing in this nation for the first time. India is in the forefront in achieving this particular goal, and we have to move faster to achieve that particular goal. And youth has a very major role, for which I'll come back later, how youth can be a part of these programs or these objectives which I am talking about. And integrating the manufacturing hubs with our abundant natural resources. And we have the capacity. Only thing is, the motivation is required to produce a high quality, made in India capitals and consumer goods, which we have started and we are moving forward. And we know that today India is the largest mobile producing hub in the world, which we have achieved. This can happen in many areas. Pharmaceutical lines. Look at the way we have moved forward in the manufacturing of vaccine. No other country could do this. We have 8 vaccines today. Out of that, 4 of them are manufactured in our own country through the Atmanirbhar Bharat. 4 vaccines is our own product. And 2 of them was, the research also was done in this country a large extent, and we were able to come out with the vaccine. And we have about 4 medicines for COVID itself. And out of that, 2 of them are manufactured in India and discovered in India itself. We can do a lot of work in this particular field. And next is a vibrant education and healthcare sector. In every state, we require a vibrant education and healthcare sector, and it should have hygiene and sanitation project capable of dealing with emergencies and pandemics, because pandemics will be the day-to-day affair of tomorrow. Please remember that. As a microbiologist, I'm going to tell you, we are not going to stop only with COVID. There are many diseases which are emerging and re-emerging diseases, and in a large extent, these diseases will be related to bio wars. Many of those rogue countries in the world will try to bring about many pandemics, many more pandemics, for which we should be ready for another 20, 30 years. We should be ready for that. And we require a very good education for our youth, as well as a sound health sector is required. And we also require a separate information and communication plan at the national level to monitor all these activities which I have spoken about. And what should be our vision? The vision which we should have is to harness the energies of nation's youth and inculcate character qualities to produce trustworthy, patriotic, and disciplined citizens who could later serve as role models for generation to come. That is one of our important goals which we have to achieve, and it is possible with today's youth. And we also have to provide trained, motivated, and disciplined manpower in all these sectors, or what I explained before, the fields, the integrated fields, and thereby we can achieve our goal. And to maintain, we also have to maintain a reservoir of trained reserves for security forces which can be pressed into service, because we know that we have rogue nations as our neighbors. We can change anything in the nation. We can change the natural resource into manufacturing units, and we can become a rich nation, but we can't change our neighbors. Please remember that. We have to live with these rogue neighbors who will try to instigate every now and then. Therefore, we require a reserve of security forces which the youth can bring about. And the eligibility to work in this particular field is all those young women and men, able-bodied young women and men between the age group of 18 to 25 should be volunteering to work in this field. And how do they do this? How they can contribute themselves to this integrated service field in different ways. One of them is the border area services, which maybe in the coming days, the central government may think about it and bring about new rules. But as youth, as the citizens of India, we also should be thinking about this. A selected youth should be prepared to serve in the border roads for road construction activities, provide labor for loading and unloading of stores in the forward depots, which is there in the border areas, assist in intelligence, surveillance, and counterintelligence. And in all these aspects, youth have a major role to play. And they also should be able to, the second aspect is police support service. Our youth should be trained, selected youth should be trained to assist in the police activities, whether it is a traffic control duties in the cities, on the highways, or the fire services, and someone can operate with paramilitary forces. Our youth should get ready to these things and to make an India a far better place to live and the most developed country in the coming days. And they can also contribute to the infrastructure development services. Now, there are many areas where the youth can contribute themselves. Rural development services and also the ecological support services. Many of us can work in the field of ecological task forces, which is functioning under the Ministry of Environment. And they could physically contribute to the ecological activities, habitat conservation, which is very, very important, sand dune stabilization, locust control. There are many areas in which the today's youth can contribute in a large way to build a better India. And it is very, very important that we move forward in this particular phase in different aspects of nation building. And as citizens, as the youth, you should be moving forward to voluntarily take up these works. And please remember, India demographically is on the right track now. And around 464 million people are aged between 15 to 50 years in this country now. 64% of this population is young. And that is an advantage for India. With the West, Japan, even China is aging. This demographic potential offers India and its growing economy an unprecedented edge that even the economists believe that will add a significant 2% to the GDP growth of this country. And to achieve all these things, we need healthy youths. We need youths who can contribute to the nation building. And for that to happen, the youths of today should be taking care of themselves in many aspects. A few of them I would like to enumerate. One of them is the physical health. They should be able to keep up their physical health, keep them away from the drugs, the other addictions, and have a healthy life. Not just the physical health, the psychological well-being of the youth also is very important today. And with the pandemic so much there even today, and most part of our life from the last 2 years, we have been sitting inside the house. I know that it's a major hit on the psychological or an impact on the psychological life of the youth, which has to be rejuvenated. And character development is also a very important thing, which Swami Vivekananda, in all his quotes, has told every now and then about character development of the youth. Not just that, youth should have social relationship. They should know how to deal with the parents, how to talk to their parents, partners, when they go to work, how they behave there. These social relationships are also very important. Professional development is very important. We think that by getting a degree, we get professional development. Absolutely not. There are many other aspects where we have to inculcate good qualities to have better professional development. And life skills is something which we require today. What we study and what we do outside, sometimes there is no relation at all between both of this. And that's why there is a big failure in India's youth in many fields. Even though we have a large chunk of engineers, many of them are not skilled enough to work in certain sectors. And this life skill development is very, very important. And social contribution. I already told you, it is heart to feel, head to think, hand to serve. That social contribution of the youth is very much required to build a better India. And that is possible only when the youth of today follow the path of Swami Vivekananda. And Swami Vivekananda very clearly had mentioned that the youth, if I fail in my mission, it is the youth of tomorrow to move forward and make India the strongest country in the world. And that can be done by today's youth. Dear friends, on this day of Swami Vivekananda's birthday, on the National Youth Day, let us all take a sankalpa, take a vow that we will work for the betterment of this country as a whole. And then only India can move forward if you have that zeal in you. And many people think that it is a politician's job to develop the nation, and we do not have any part in it. You please remember, every individual in this nation is India. Every individual in this nation is India. My Shira is like Kashmir. My Pada Yukma is like Kanyakumari. Both my shoulders are like the ranges of Himalayas. My waist is like the Vindhyas. If I walk, it is India. If I talk, it is India. And I should be an example, and I should work for the betterment of this country. And then only I can achieve the goal or the dream set by Professor APJ Abdul Kalam. And he said that 2025 is India's era. India will be the Vishwaguru. If India has to be the Vishwaguru, it is in your hand, where you have to move forward and try to work for a better nation. Because for us, this is not just Bhumi Matra, this is Matra Bhumi. There is a lot of difference when you just interchange one word. Bhumi Matra is something which does not talk about the tyaga of this nation. Matrubhumi will give that extra zeal to work for a better India. And India's aspiration to become a world leader must resonate more with its youth, more than anyone else. Unless the country's youth take a nation building, why only India? No countries can hope for the development that befits its ambitions. There is no better day than to begin that journey, that on this 12th January, which is observed as National Youth Day. And the youth constitutes, I'm talking about the age group of 18 to 29 years, they constitute 22% of India's population, which is more than 261 million people, and larger than the population of Pakistan. Imagine that. We have a youth force, a demographic advantage of having that many youths. And only thing is, we have to see that they walk on the right path to build a better India. Because as I told you, for us, this is not Bhumi Matra, this is Matra Bhumi. I would like to end my today's talk on one aspect of what Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee used to tell whenever he used to be very emotional. भारत एक जमीन का टुकड़ा नहीं है, ये जीता जागता राष्ट्र पुरुष है, ये वंदन की भूमि है, अभिनंदन की भूमि है, ये तर्पण की भूमि है, अर्पण की भूमि है. इसके कंकर कंकर में शंकर है, इसके बिंदु बिंदु में गंगा जल है. हम जिएंगे तो इस देश के लिए जिएंगे, हम मरेंगे तो इस देश के लिए मरेंगे. मरने के बाद जब कोई हमारा अस्थियों का गंगा जल में हमारा अस्थियों को सुनेगा तो एक ही आवाज आएगा, भारत माता की जय, भारत माता की जय, भारत माता की जय. Let us take this message forward to build a better India. And please remember, India has only 10 years beginning from this year to hold on to this demographic dividend. It is not forever. Please remember that. This is not constant. We have only 10 years beginning 2021 actually to hold on to this demographic dividend. And the youth in India, as per the national statistics, we are talking about the population of 18 to 29. This will be there on a higher percentage only till 2031. So we have a 10 years period in which we should be able to build a better India and move forward. And this is the time, you are in the right frame of time the students are living, because in the entire world, the most youthful nation today is India. And we can take this advantage and move forward to build a better India. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for such enlightening thoughts. It was truly very inspiring.